because I never wanted to owe anyone anything. It wasn't some dramatic vow I made as a teenager. It was much quieter than that. More practical. At 16, I stocked shelves at a grocery store until midnight. Then I'd wake up at 5 to help a neighbor with landscaping, and on weekends I bussed tables at a diner that always smelled faintly of burnt coffee. I learned early how to measure time against wages. An hour wasn't 60 minutes. It was $11.75 before taxes. My parents never pushed me to work. They simply never discouraged it. In our house, college was never presented as a choice. It was the ticket. But the fine print, tuition, housing, textbooks, was mine to figure out. I never resented that. It felt normal. Loans under my name. Paychecks under my name. Responsibility under my name. My sister Lily is 3 years younger than me. Softer. Not incapable, just slower when it came to making decisions. She switched majors twice, took a semester off, and moved back home once. None of it was catastrophic. Just a different pace. I can't remember the exact day things changed. What I do remember is the morning I closed on my condo at 26. I didn't throw a housewarming party. I didn't post pictures online. I signed the paperwork in a beige office lit by flickering lights, then drove over with a borrowed pickup truck and a mattress tied down with rope. That first night, I sat on the living room floor with my back against the wall and let the silence settle around me. It didn't feel like victory. It felt like finally exhaling. The following week at Sunday dinner, my dad asked, "So, this is permanent, huh?" "I mean," I said with a shrug, "it's a mortgage." My mom smiled a little too tightly. Lily pushed her food around her plate. "You don't have to talk about interest rates at dinner." "I wasn't," I replied. "You bring up work a lot." I didn't think I did. Work was simply my life. I wasn't trying to put it on display. About a month later, my mom asked whether Lily could stay at my place for a while. She needed some space. She arrived with 2 suitcases and a houseplant that immediately started dying. Living together at 26 and 23 is very different from sharing a room at 12 and 9. I left for work at 7 a.m. I tracked expenses in spreadsheets. She ordered takeout. I didn't police her behavior. I didn't lecture her. I just paid my bills. One evening, without looking at me, she asked, "Do you ever think you make people feel bad?" "About what?" "About being ahead." The word lingered in the air. Ahead. As though life were a race I'd secretly entered without telling her. "I'm not competing with you," I said. "I know," she replied. But she didn't sound convinced. A week later, my parents came over. They didn't sit down. My dad cleared his throat. "Your sister's been struggling." "I know. She feels inadequate." I waited. "This condo. The way you talk about independence. It makes her feel like she's failing." Something sharp shifted beneath my ribs. "I don't talk about it." "You don't have to," she said. "It's visible." There it was. The accusation without ever being called one. My stability was apparently loud even when I stayed silent. "What exactly do you want me to do?" I asked. My parents exchanged a glance. That glance is burned into my memory because it was the first time I felt outnumbered in a conflict I hadn't started. "Maybe consider selling," my dad said carefully. "Or helping Lily with a down payment, so you're both on equal footing." "Equal footing," I repeated. "You've always been responsible," my mom added. "You can afford to be generous." That's when I realized explanations weren't going to help. They didn't want context. They wanted a correction. I can't sell, I said. And I can't pay for someone else's house. I worked for this. The conversation ended there. But something in the room had shifted. The tension had turned into a decision. 2 months later, I was served legal papers at work. The claim was that because I'd lived at home during portions of college, and because my parents had supported me in unspecified ways, they were entitled to part of the condo's equity. It was framed as reimbursement. Parental investment. I read the paperwork twice in the break room. My hands never shook. That surprised me. When I called my mom, she said, "We tried to handle this privately." Privately? As though I were the one who had escalated things. Court is far less dramatic than television makes it seem. It's fluorescent. Procedural. My lawyer, a calm woman with silver hair and an expression that never changed, asked for every pay stub I could locate going back to age 16. I had all of them. Digitized. Categorized. I never imagined that habit would matter someday. The judge reviewed the financial records in a flat, monotone voice. Employment history. Loan agreements. Mortgage records. Transfers from my checking account to the title company. No evidence of parental contributions toward the condo. No written agreements. My dad tried explaining that parenting was an investment. The judge didn't respond to the sentiment. Case dismissed. No gavel slam. No speech. Just those 2 words. What I felt wasn't triumph. It was something steadier. Something closer to being seen accurately for the first time by someone with authority. Outside the courthouse, my mom said, "I hope you're happy." I didn't answer. Because happiness wasn't the point. Clarity was. Lily moved out of my condo the following week. We didn't argue. We simply stopped pretending we were neutral. Eventually, family dinners started again. But they felt thinner. Conversations stayed on the surface. My accomplishments went unmentioned, as though acknowledging them might reopen the wound. The condo didn't feel larger after the court case. If anything, it felt quieter. Sometimes I sit at the small kitchen table and think about how strange it is that building something stable can be interpreted as aggression. I never wanted leverage over anyone. I simply didn't want dependence used against me. I don't know whether Lily still feels behind. I don't know whether my parents regret filing the lawsuit, or whether they've convinced themselves it was necessary. But I do know this. The court record exists. My effort exists. Officially. Unarguably. And for now, that's enough. I still work too much. I still sometimes calculate hours in terms of wages. But when I lock my door at night, it isn't out of defiance.